guys. It's Jane. It's Friday today. It's not Friday today. It's Saturday today. I missed Friday, but it's Friday Reads today, so let's just pretend it's still Friday and let's just go on from there. I've now tried to record this 3 times. The last time I finished recording, I looked down and realised that the red light wasn't on the camera. So I'm really having an excellent day. Let's just go through the books before I go completely mad. All right. The first book I finished this week was The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. It's a thriller. Everybody on BookTube's read it and talked about it. I read it for my In Real Life book club. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. Everybody in my book club enjoyed it too, and we had lots of really interesting things to talk about. So it's not a super deep book. There's some pretty dark things that happens. It's about the central sort of plot device is that a woman goes missing, and this girl on the train, whose name is Rachel, who's probably the central character in the story, though there are other point of view characters in the story. Rachel sort of inserts herself into the investigation into what happened. I enjoyed it. If you're looking for something that's a quick read and you don't mind something that's a little bit dark, then you could do worse than The Girl on the Train. The second book that I finished this week was The System of the World by Neal Stephenson. This is one that I've been dragging out for weeks. It's the final of the Baroque cycle by Neal Stephenson, and I love these books. This is a complete reread for me, and I was eking out the story because I didn't want it to end. I can say that the end, which I couldn't really quite remember exactly how he'd finished everything off, the end is a lot more satisfying than some endings to Neal Stephenson books, so you don't need to worry about that. I actually had lots of thoughts about this time around. I think I probably saw what was going on in the story more clearly on the reread, which is often the case with books. But Neal Stephenson's books often have large casts of characters and lots of moving parts, and that this is no exception. There's millions of characters. It goes over decades, the story, and lots of political intrigue and crazy schemes and things going on. This time, on a reread, that stuff on the surface is more familiar, and so it's easier to see the stuff that's going on behind. And for me, I think the heart of this story is actually a symposium, like a Platonic or something symposium between Daniel Waterhouse playing Simplico, which is a character that often is in those sorts of dialogues. If you've read any of those old Greek philosophy texts, that's that you have 2 people with opposing views and somebody who's standing in the middle going, but how could that be? And anyway, that character is Daniel Waterhouse, and the other 2 poles of the debate are Isaac Newton and Leibniz. For people who know a little bit about the history of the era, Leibniz and Newton were involved in a massive scientific controversy, and which had this in real life, which had big political implications for relations between Great Britain and the continent at the time. And this is reflected in the story that Neal Stephenson's written, and lots of that sort of basis, I think, is actually what the story is about. So if you're interested in the history and philosophy of science, this is a rollicking good tale with pirates and gold and princesses and wars and alchemy, and that's really about philosophy of science. So if that sounds interesting to you, I highly recommend it. The next book that I finished this week is Dissolution by C.J. Sansom. I have to be careful because I realise I've been saying Samson, but it's not Samson, it's Sansom. Okay, so this is the first of a series of medieval murder mysteries set in the time of Henry VIII, with the central character being this guy called Shardlake, who is a lawyer and a hunchback. This is the first one. I'd not read any of them before. He's quite far into the series now, and they've been winning awards, but I hadn't actually read any before I read one this week. I enjoyed it. It was a really meta literature experience for me reading this, because one of the back of stage central characters, this is Thomas Cromwell, who, if you've read Wolf Hall and those other Booker Prize winning books, which I'm at the point of the pregnancy now where I'm just losing nouns. So I'm going to wave my hands around. There's this man, Booker Prize, Hilary Mantel wrote Wolf Hall and Bringing Up the Bodies. There you go, I remembered. And they're all about Thomas Cromwell in this period of life. And I love those books. Thomas Cromwell is painted slightly differently in this story. So that was an interesting contrast. The other thing that this book really brought to the mind is the name of the rose, because actually a lot of the plot points in the story are the same as in the name of the rose. It doesn't go to the same place. But, and there were so many echoes. Echo, did you get it? Was that a little pun? There were so many echoes of the name of the rose that that gave me pause as well. So I probably wasn't as just in the book as I might have been with this one. Basically, it's the story of the time when Henry is trying to close up the monasteries, hence the title Dissolution, the dissolution of the monasteries. A few minor houses have already been closed. There was a rebellion in the north, and so now Henry realizes that he doesn't have the political clout to just close them all by fiat. What he needs to do is, on a case-by-case basis, send agents into the monasteries and find a reason, a rationale in each particular case to pressure the abbot or whoever is in charge to hand over the lands and whatever to Henry to close up the monastery. So this is the setup for this. An agent is at a particular monastery and is murdered. And Shardlake, who's this lawyer, is sent by Cromwell up to investigate the murder of the agent at this monastery, and also, if he has time, figure out a way to get the abbot to sign over the land as well at the same time. It's a well-crafted murder mystery with nice historical trappings, and so if that's something that interests you, Dissolution might be interesting to you. I probably will read the next one, and I'm hoping that I won't have as many kind of moments when I'm reading the next one, which probably won't be in a monastery, so it won't be Name of the Rosy at any rate. Okay, the next thing I finished was Flames and Water by P.T. Hylton. This is the fourth of the Zane Holloway novellas. I think, if anything, they're getting better. I really enjoyed this one. This is a few years have passed between the beginning of this one and the end of the previous one. Something really exciting happens at the end of the third one, and we're seeing the results of that in the relationship between Zane and Lily, his apprentice, for the first few books. Obviously time has passed, and also this thing that happened at the end of the third one. So this one's about pirates, which is where the water of the title comes from. Pirates and magic, and yeah, it's great. The next book is The Language of Power by Rosemary Kirstein. This is the fourth of the Steerswoman series, and it's the last of the ones that are currently published. It was published a number of years ago now, and it doesn't finish the cycle, which is the only bad thing about this book. You get to the end of it, and it's not the end of the story, and you know that the fifth one hasn't been published. I think she's still actually working on it. My understanding is she's had some health issues, which is why the big gap. So I'm like, this was such a good read. It's Willem, who's from one of the previous books, comes back into the story. Willem leaves Belle and Rowan, who are our two central kick-ass female characters throughout the whole story arc. Willem is with them in one of the earliest books and then leaves to become the apprentice to a wizard or a magician. I can't remember what they're called in the story. Wizard, I think. Wizard, yeah. Becomes a wizard's apprentice, and now he's back in this fourth one. I can't really tell you terribly much because the really exciting thing about these books is the stuff that's revealed about the world as you go through. And by the fourth book where we're at, if I tell you kind of what's going on, it skips a whole bunch of stuff that was so exciting to learn as we went through. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. As I said, the only bad thing is that number 5 and number 6, I think there's 2 more volumes that are supposed to be coming, not written, so I have to go and say my prayers for Rosemary's health. And yeah, because this one's now in the category for me with Shades of Grey by Jasper Ford. It's like, it's so long now since the last volume. I need to know what goes on. But yeah, at the moment, I can't scratch that itch. I also read Koko Takes a Holiday by Kieran Shea. This is wild. It's a sort of book that I used to read a lot when I was younger. It's a kind of mercenary gone bad story, and Coco is she is a retired mercenary working on a pleasure island as a barkeeper and madam of a brothel when her life goes to. And because this woman who is a higher up the corporate hierarchy in the pleasure islands where she is, who Coco had thought was a friend and ally, has turned against her, and we have lots of she's fighting for her life, and she it's very violent and very fast paced, and I really enjoyed it. So and Koko comes out victorious at the end, which, that's what I need, because I need a happy ending. And I think there's actually another Koko story that's written a sequel, so who knows, I might look that one out. I had not heard anything about this. I found it at the library, and the title and the cover art just went, that's what you need today, and that's what I read. The last thing that I read this week was Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, which is by Rachel Cohn and David Levithan. I don't know how you say his name. This is, I don't know what to say. It's a teen drama romance thing. I picked it because of the title. Nick and Nora are one of my favourite all-time movie duos, Nick and Nora Charles from The Thin Man, which is, if you have not seen it, is a hilarious movie from the 40s, and it actually was such a big hit that it spawned there's like 8 or something Thin Man movies, but none of them are quite as good as the first one, so you really only need to see the first one. So anyway, Nick and Nora, I saw Nick and Nora and I went, Nick and Nora! And so I borrowed the book, and it's fine, I guess, for what it is, but it's not really my thing. It's told over the course of a single night with alternating chapters, one from Nick's point of view, one from Nora's point of view, and then alternating. The 2 authors, one wrote Nick, one wrote Nora. So we've got this girl-boy thing, girl-boy different point of view, and they're both going through breakups, and then they meet, and it's a romance story, I guess, and that is what I have finished this week. I need to stop talking. I'm still not feeling super great. I've done a lot of reading because my family have been away for the second half of the week, and so I've had a fair amount of downtime, and but I'm actually not feeling super great. I don't know how much reading I'm going to get done this weekend. There might be more just watching bad TV, I think, for the rest of my weekend. If you have read any of these books, I'd love to hear what you thought of them. I'm sorry I talked for so long. I hope you're all well, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.